got about a little over a third of them, which is what I've been told is the typical response. So it's great to see everybody here. We're going to chat about what's happening in for Compassion for Canada. There's a number of things that we do want to talk about, and we do want to hear from Marilyn. Lots is going on there. So I'm just going to tell you what I have written down, what I want to talk about, and then if anyone has anything to add, let me know. I think I'm quite certain that Marilyn's going to talk about how we're switching from 12 sectors to the 7 pillars of Ubuntu. So we need to hear about that. Also, maybe I get Meredith to put in the chat the link for the Spirit of Ubuntu, the documentary. It's now out on YouTube and you can watch it for free. Just show of hands, how many people have actually watched the documentary?
So I saw it actually in Toronto at the, this is probably like 6-7 months ago.
August 1st.
The preview, before anyone was seeing it, it's phenomenal.
So,
and I met with the crew. It was a special VIP preview thing. Phenomenal. Everyone needs to watch it.
Thank you. Okay, so thanks for the endorsement.
Please tell us again what it is. Excuse me for interrupting. Please tell us again what the it is. This is unstable connections coming in and out. So I didn't hear what it is.
Okay, Barbara,
you're referring to. We must see it.
Okay, it is the Spirit of Ubuntu, a documentary that is part of the Charter for Compassion. And Meredith, have you put it in the chat already? Not yet.
I did.
You did, okay. It's in there. So it's and the charter, Marilyn will speak to this, but we are switching to the 7 pillars of Ubuntu. So yeah, take time to watch that. I do want to hear from Winnipeg. They are about to become a compassionate city. So I want to know what happens there. Want to talk about global reads. I'm a big fan of global reads, and we have a special one coming up with Devon Clunas. And so he can talk about that and convince you all to join. Erin is going to talk about her trip in St. Lucia and doing the artistic bridges. I was just on a call this afternoon about there's a Compassion Action Conference. No, I'm saying that wrong. That's coming up on May 14th and 15th. That we'll send you more information, but it's about we want people to participate as well as attend, as well as to spread the news. And I was hoping to, as we had a special guest from Uganda, somebody that Marilyn and I got to know, maybe she'll pop in, but we were trying to help her out. Wanted to remind all of you that the Golden Rule is coming up April 5th, and it would be great if everyone did something that in their own community, in their own way for that. And I want to give a plug because I don't know if Marilyn's going to brag, but on Wednesdays, which is this morning, she has a Harmonizing Humanity, and it's the highlight of my week. It's my mid-week break. And I encourage you, if you have any interest at all in music, to participate. So anything else that you wanted to add with all of that? Any questions, anything we should be discussing?
I want to know what Ross is eating. Okay.
Supper. I'm eating my supper.
I know.
It is 5:30 here.
I know, but what is it, Ross?
Well, it's a stuffed pepper and a Greek salad. So
okay, sounds very good, and I'm looking forward to my dinner too. So when this is over, so Marge, maybe I can take it over for just a tiny bit.
Oh yeah, no, please do.
I'm wondering if people wouldn't mind putting their name in the chat and let us know where in Canada you're from. I know that, a lot of you might know one another, but I think there are some new faces here. And there's even some black blanks here. Maybe people could give us a little snippet of their face somewhere along the line if possible. And I'll just maybe take it from the beginning, because one of the things is that I don't know how many of you know. I'm so glad, Shannon, to see somebody from Halifax, Nova Scotia, because Halifax, Nova Scotia um, had been one of the very first cities, I think, in Canada to become a compassionate community. And they had a lovely website, which might still be going, called Waves of Compassion. Um, and so let me just kind of take you back a number of years. When I first came to the charter, which was in 2014, already there existed Canadians for Compassion. You had, as a country, you had a logo. It was really quite impressive. The person who was behind the Charter for Compassion in putting it all together in Canada was Janet Leggett. She was from Toronto, and there was another mischievous person by the name of Erin Henry, who was really involved.
Where is Janet?
I have
Where
no
is
idea.
she?
I don't know where Janet is. So if anyone can find
Yeah,
Janet,
can we
bring
find
her.
her?
Yeah, find her. She's in, well, she was in Toronto. I did meet her once. And then at my meeting, she said, I'm tired. I've worked really hard and I'm going to step back. Well, she certainly did. And she kind of disappeared on
She,
us.
yeah, she and I did sorry to interject. I spoke at the TEDx Youth Conference in Ottawa for the Children's Charter. And Janet and I did that, and we did all kinds of stuff in Toronto. Oh, I would love to find Janet.
Yeah.
Anyone
So,
knows her?
going back to 2014, and even before that, there was a real surge of interest in the charter in Canada because Karen Armstrong and the Dalai Lama at the Dalai Lama Foundation Center in Vancouver, and I believe, Erin, you were even present at that inaugural event.
Yeah, it was 2009 in Vancouver.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then soon after that, you created the Children's Charter, and a lot of good things happened from there. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of reacquaint ourselves with the charter, in some instances strengthen the foundation of the charter in Canada, and maybe even bring back some of those interested cities. Another very first city was London, Ontario. That became a compassionate community, and it passed rather quickly with the help of a council person. But we learned some strong lessons from the beginning parts of the charter, that oftentimes people think, oh, it's really, really important to get the mayor on board, or the leader of our community, and the council. And that is true. It is important to get them. But unless you have a strong grassroots group of people who are going to carry on the charter, that is extremely important, because, as we all know, elect and I'm saying this with great hopes, elected officials come and go. And it is the grassroots group of people who keep things moving ahead. And so part of our lesson, like in London, Ontario, was that it came from the mayor, it came from the city council, and then those individuals either retired or lost their position, and so went the charter. And so we want to make certain that our roots are strong in a community. And so I do want to share just a few slides with you. They aren't many. And hopefully I'll just be able to bring them up and take it from there. There we go. Okay.
I wonder if Ross could turn his video off. It's a bit distracting to watch you eat. All right, Ross.
Okay. Thank you, Ross. So, here, Marge had mentioned that we're kind of entering a new era. And while, we might say that it's an era of the seven principles of Ubuntu, we can also say that it's an era that goes back to the original document of the Charter for Compassion, which has seven principles contained in it, or the wisdom of Aristotle in his seven principles. It seems that so many religious traditions, philosophical traditions, and even cultural traditions, like Ubuntu itself, really have seven pillars or seven action items. And so while we might say it is the seven pillars of Ubuntu, it is really very much holistically a grounding in seven principles that come out of so many avenues of wisdom. And I've been doing a lot of investigation, a lot of writing along that line, and we're just about ready to kind of uncover, and start talking about what those pillars are. But here's where we find ourselves today. And in the United States, there's an area, Kentucky, Tennessee. It makes its way up through West Virginia, through the mountain areas, going up into New England, and it's Appalachia. Or oftentimes people will say the Appalachian people, the Appalachian Trail. But there's a proverb that comes out of the tradition of Appalachia. And the thing is that this goes all the way back to the 1700s when the British colonists made their way into the area, which is now primarily in the Kentucky area and Tennessee. And the proverb is, the truth will stand when the world's on fire. Well, very possibly we are close to a fire. I mean, literally, there's fires all over the world. As Merida told us, there's fires in Monterey today. There's obviously, it's burning, has burnt in Los Angeles. We've seen terrible fires, but let's take that philosophically as, we really are on the precipice of needing something like compassion. And when the founder of the Charter for Compassion, Karen Armstrong, was approached by the TED Talk organization, they had an idea. They had never given a monetary award to anyone, but they decided that she was going to be the first person that they were going to give money to. And her obligation was to give them a great TED Talk, and they granted her a wish, and they also gave her some $100,000 for that wish. She was very clever because she got a lot more money out of them than $100,000, because her wish was a wish to create a charter for compassion. And she had no organization, and so she put it in their hands. And so they paid for the original Charter for Compassion. And when I say they paid for it, they paid to build a website, they paid to launch it, they launched it at the United Nations. But her message was one of compassion, because she felt that everything had been tried as far as she knew, and all of her research into all of the world's traditions and religions brought her to one simple thing, and that was the golden rule, that we had to be kind to one another. We had to embed it in our hearts and in our minds, and that we had tried diplomacy, we had tried conflict resolution, but we had not realized and elevated compassion to the place that it should be. And so the Charter for Compassion had its beginnings from that original TED Talk. It struggled for a few years to find a home. And so it went from the TED organization to the Fetzer Foundation, and then eventually to the Seeds of Compassion in Seattle. And then we became our own 501c3. In the United States, that simply means that we got tax status as a charity. And it was at the beginning of way back in 2009 and 10 that the idea that the charter was going to support compassionate communities, and it was going to have people, organizations in those communities work at the grassroots level to really deal with issues of grave concern within the community, meaning that, you know, there was not everyone in the world was going to work on an issue like homelessness or an issue on poverty. Rather, it was going to be that every community would find its hurting point and it would work on that. And so that was the beginning of the charter. And the other part of all of this was that we needed to help instill compassion as a skill within people. So it was to provide education to individuals along the way. And that could mean, you know, the neuroscience of compassion, how we're hardwired for compassion. It could mean to understand that we can move from sympathy to empathy, which is really understanding or feeling the effect of that grave concern in our hearts, but that we needed to do something about that. And so that, you know, we needed to move empathy to action, compassionate action, the end result, kindness. And so, you know, through the years, we tried to look at what goes on in a community. And every community has arts. It has a way of commerce, of business, of civic policy. It has education and health care and social services. And so what happened with the charter, to a certain extent, without knowing it, we were mirroring what was being done by Barbara Marx Hubbard and her idea of there are 12 sectors in a community. And ironically, we at the beginning of time, when we were doing all of this, we did not know of Barbara Marx Hubbard's work. We met Barbara in Monterrey, Mexico, I think around 2014, and, you know, came to this enlightenment of each other. And so the charter really moved forward with 12 pillars, and which reflected, you know, as I said, a structure that mimicked to a certain extent what was in every community. And now, as we're moving forward after, you know, a good 10 years of working in compassionate communities, we're trying to look at, you know, what are some of the driving forces behind what really helps solidify a community. And so it's like, you know, being aware of education, incorporating the wisdom of individuals, the wisdom of tradition, the seasoned wisdom of our elders in a community, and the exuberance and the stick-to-itiveness and innovation of youth. And so that is going to be one of our pillars. And as you can see, really, if you look at the 12 sectors, they're all contained within these 7 pillars, but we've extended, I think, and grounded more definitely what these pillars mean. Health is much more than the kind of hospitalization or the preventive health. It is mental health, it is well-being. And all of that is delivered through a certain and pronounced level of compassion. We can look at the work of some of the leading people in healthcare to look at what Stanford University has been able to do with C-Care, with the Zen monk, Yoshi Joan Halifax, and what she's been able to do at the Upaya Center, where she's really so involved in working with areas of meditation, but also servicing the people who are really near death as she journeys around the world. And so, my whole offering of music is a combination of arts and music and gratitude, because it's our own creativity and our own human expression that helps us really thirst to learn more about one another. And then there is this whole level of environment and animals and stewardship of our Mother Earth, and a respect and an honoring of Mother Earth. And then there is one that is one of play and courage and innovation. And play is serious work sometimes, as we well know. I mean, we can think about it as sports, definitely, but we can think of it as you know gaming in non-competition. We can think about play as the courage to move forward in a community, coming up. I mean, think of public art and the joy of public art and the innovation sometimes and the interaction that it can bring about. And then certainly the area of justice and integrity. And this would be, really, and by the way, just the way all 12 sectors were intertwined and interconnected and interdependent, so are all of the pillars. So that as we look at justice and integrity, we're looking at morals, we're looking at ethics, but we're also looking at new ways of being responsible for one another, and not to pinpoint people with labels, and to look at areas beyond, well, I don't want to say beyond social justice as much as also inventing restorative justice practices within our community. And then lastly, spirituality, love, and hope. And as we look at all 7 of these, what we're trying to do within the context of the charter is to take the programs that we have to reflect, what you see in these pillars. So, one of our programs is trying to have circles of conversation together. And so as we have these circles, on Friday, we have our circle, which we call the Kitchen Chat, which is our healthcare group, who come together and really go through our very existence and conversation, many of these pillars. We have another circle that's just restarting up again tomorrow in education. Our social justice is another group. But we also have the global reads, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We have the EdNet Forum, where we introduce inventive practices in education that are happening around the world globally. And how do we do all of this? We network. We network as much as we can, so that whenever a compassionate community begins to gel, and it finds what's working well within the community and finds those NGOs, those partners who are doing extraordinary work, and bringing them together in conversation, the idea is to also bring them into the Charter for Compassion, that we grow this network of people. And so, over just the last few, I see, Erin, thank you for raising your hand, and I'll just finish this and then we'll come right back to your question or reflection. But over the last 6 months, this is where our mind has led us, and our operations. We have signed a memo of understanding with the Permanent Secretary of Nobel Peace Laureates, which I think I've mentioned before. It's a second bullet point there. We have engaged in working with an individual by the name of David Gershon in trying to not only take a compassionate community, but to encourage them to begin practicing together some of the principles that are part of his way of looking at bringing a peace zone, an individual peace zone, to a community, but then to explore that peace zone and expand it, to move from one city to the next. So to look at a regional highway of peace, cooperation is certainly involved in that. The building of trust between people is certainly involved there, and compassionate action. We have also engaged with Peace Jam, which is a youth organization that has now celebrated, I think, its 20th year of existence. And it was founded by Desmond Tutu. And we will be doing some educational work with them and programming that we hope to bring to compassionate communities, and certainly to the communities that are participating in the Camino. And then kids' rights, I won't even say much more about that, but there's these other last two bullet points. The Muhammad Ali Compassionate City Index was launched in January. It's important because while it's only being piloted in the United States, we're just probably a year or two from it being done globally. And this is to measure cities' compassion. How is it working in a community? And the first report is out, and you can view it, and it's both on our website, and you can go to the Muhammad Ali Center and see it there. And then the last one is our new work with Emory University's cognitive-based compassion training, and we can talk more about that as we come closer to it. So Erin, your hand's up.
So I just wanted to reiterate the importance of these meetings, because the last Canada Ally Chat we had a month ago, I connected with several people from Winnipeg, one of them being Jermaine. And he and I actually met today, and we had the best blitz of a meeting. It was 30 minutes. It was like fast and furious, but I was able to share Children's Charter and Artistic Bridges. And then he gave me like very, very short information on what he's doing. So anything that, like, these meetings are so important. And he and I are now going to expand into Winnipeg what I'm doing, and vice versa. And my connections around the world and whatever. It's all about staying vocal, staying connected. And please, if anybody wants to reach out, and I'm, it's a really good avenue. It was a great conversation today. And it was just a result of last month's meeting like this. And it's phenomenal to be able to do that. And we're all in the same boat. We're all like end goal is the same.
Yeah, well, definitely. And I'm just trying to think. Oh, last Friday we had, and if you weren't part of it or you didn't sign up for it, but still would like the information, it'll be on our website in another day or two. We had a call, and 170 people registered for it, and it was on how to take your grassroots organization and become a compassion ambassador in your city to your local government, and to really move forward. It was fantastic. It was one of the, I mean, there have been times when, we have extraordinary workshops and webinars, but people actually ask for follow-up, which is great. And it was an hour and a half long. And not only are we going to do a follow-up at the end of April or beginning of May, but it also prompted us to think how important it is to do exactly what you indicated here, Erin, and that is to offer how is it that you can build a compassionate community. So I think it's the week of April 7th, every single day, and it's at a different time every day so that we can reach the world. We're going to have a webinar for communities that want to strengthen their bonds, or for groups of people who really want to start a compassionate community within their location.
But
So,
also a good lead in now is Golden Rule Day is coming up April 5th, right?
right.
So it's just like if you need to just pick a pinpoint and grow from there, April 5th is Golden Rule Day.
Yep.
So it's so cute. I mean, you guys can check on the site, but my kids, my group of kids, we started it and then we did the then and now interviews and videos. It's if you're looking for inspiration, if you're dealing with children, you're dealing with youth, go on to the Charter for Compassion site because the videos are there. It shows like my kids and several of their friends when they were like I think 6 and 8 or 6 and 9 and then in university. It's really good material to just show then and now. And yeah, it's on the Charter site.
Very
Well,
good.
it's fresh every year.
Yeah.
We do a new program and we run it. In the past, we started the first few years, we actually physically ran a marathon 24 hours a day. That was very, very difficult to do. So now we take a block of time, like 8 hours, and then we repeat it several times so that it can be shown globally. Okay, Marge, it's back to you.
Okay, I was hoping, look, there's a couple people, we heard from Aaron. I would like to have Devin talk about his book and promote Global Read and have all of us, I believe it's March 26th, tune in to your talk. So Devin?
You want me to talk about the book or about what we're doing here first in Winnipeg in relation to the charter? Your call.
How about you talk about your book first to get people interested in Global Read, and then we'll talk about Winnipeg and we'll get Gary and some of your friends on board.
Absolutely. So on the 1st of February, I launched a book. It's entitled One, A Story of Hope in Our Time. The launch went exceedingly well. We had a very beautiful venue. Our mayor was there, opened the launch for us. But people left that event saying that they really felt just this incredible shift, like connection, so positive. The story really is all about using my journey to becoming chief of police in a city that was not very diverse at the time, but was able to rise to this position and simply saying to people that we have to stop dividing ourselves into black, white, ethnicities, different religious belief system, all of that. At the end of the day, we're one people, we're on a journey. And in a time when the world is just so divided, I want to point us back to the place that we need to become more unified. And so each chapter ends with a couple of questions that get people to really start thinking introspectively first. And then I really ask people to draw themselves into small groups so we can start communicating again. I point to the fact that the last 5 years have been very difficult for all of us in community, in society. And we've been just incredibly divided. So I want this to be a rallying point to say, let's start communicating, learning to understand one another again, especially in a place like Winnipeg, which is so incredibly diverse. Like we represent the world. And if Winnipeg can be the epicenter of us becoming one, I really would love for our city to be not only a light to Canada, but a light to the rest of the world. And so at a time when we see so much division, the story simply is one. And if you were to see the cover of one, there's a message just in the cover itself. It has a very dark background to start. Oh, there it is. Thank you, Gary. But the dark is supposed to represent the social state that we're in right now. And the door is saying that if we move together collectively through this door, the destination is going to be bright for us. And the word one is in different colors, not only to represent the colors of the Jamaican flag, but to say it's representative of the exit sign. And we can look and be and feel and think differently, but at the end of the day, we are one. And if we move through this door together, we can create something really beautiful on the other side. And the light blue is supposed to represent those of us who wear the uniform in terms of policing, say that we don't need to carry out our duties in a harsh way. We can actually do it in a very gentle way and help lead individuals and society to a much better place. And so I've been getting incredibly positive feedback on it. I really would love for this to start a global movement, and it's absolutely in line with everything that we're talking about in terms of a charter for compassion. So it wasn't my master plan that this book would come out at this time. It just felt like I needed to write it. And it's amazing when you look at what's taking place in the world right now, and people are saying like, this will be a bit of a light to the world. So that's my desire for one, and I'm looking forward to doing the global read on the 26th.
Yeah,
I
I mean, just
are on that call, and even if it's at like noon hour, if you can't do it, sign up and then you get a recording later. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for describing your book. It sounds great. I do want to read it, but the message that you presented was, I think, exceptional. So if somebody can put that in the chat, how to actually order the book, that would be good too. Okay.
I'm doing that right now.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, when you're doing that, can we talk about to where Winnipeg is for becoming a compassionate city? I'm gonna jump up for joy when I actually hear you guys actually becoming a compassionate city. So I don't know if it's Gary or one of the other ones. I'm not certain who's on from Winnipeg. Can you just guys put up your hands, let me know who's from Winnipeg?
well, Gary's there,
Yeah.
Devin's there.
Devin?
Yeah, I
Em
can,
Fox, are you
I
from
I can get
Winnipeg?
us started, Marge.
Hmm?
I could get us started if you like.
Perfect.
So we are making good progress, and Devon is certainly very engaged in it. I would just encourage Devon and Aaron to have a call. You mentioned, Aaron, you had a call with one of the folks from our group. Devon has, I would bet, very solid connections in the Caribbean, and he also wrote a children's book as too, which he hasn't mentioned. But that might fit in nicely with what Aaron's working on.
Excellent. So I have 2 activity books as well. Yeah, I would love to collaborate on that for sure.
Yeah. And so, again, I'll just mention that part of the whole benefit of the compassionate work is the collaboration, and then, trying to improve on the things that we're doing. And so in Winnipeg, we're making more connections and, getting more groups that we see as being aligned well. And Devon has reached out to the mayor again just the other day with a bit of a guiding principles as to what we're about. And we're quite hopeful. And Devon, maybe you could just mention where you think we're at with the mayor, and then I'll just mention a few other things.
Absolutely. So I had lunch with the mayor, really laid out the plan of what we're trying to accomplish with the Charter of Compassion. He was fully on board with it. And just actually yesterday, I sent him a formal document, which he acknowledged that he received. And I laid it out very clearly exactly what we're looking for, a proclamation from him, himself and all of his respective city councilors being a part of it. But I do agree with what you said at the start, Marilyn, that we can't simply expect this to be led by the mayor and city council. However, we made it very clear that his support will be critical, but you have this incredible team, and Gary's a huge part of it, and have other connections in the community that will actually champion it. So all we need is a stamp of approval, and away he goes. And I can tell you that the mayor did commit that he wants to do this, and he wants to be a part of the very first meeting. We want to start having community meetings right across the entire city. So I feel very optimistic about where we'll be going with him.
That's awesome.
Very good, yeah, and I hope everyone connects up here, so thank you for that. And I've got Nahid, a friend from Richmond Hill, we can both say we have a great mayor who's become supportive. So I think our mayor needs to reach out to your mayor and just say, yeah, let's be a compassionate city. So I think they would love to be doing that right now, not just
Marge,
talking.
I think there's some follow-up too that Gary wanted to address.
Well, I'll just mention a few other factors. So we're just pulling together as our team, what kind of groups that we're actually collaborating with. And so what's exciting is we're starting to get out and meet people and use the word Charter for Compassion. And one of the groups that we work with is Rotary. And Marilyn, I just mentioned this because you're on the phone. So I mentioned the dates in July when they're meeting in Calgary, where they're going to have 20,000 people coming to an international conference. And so you and I could have a phone conversation with David Newman,
Let's
who will
do
try to
that.
help. Yeah, he'll try to help facilitate if we can have someone there from the charter and meet some good influential people in the Rotary world. So that could be a separate conversation. And we're working quite closely with the Morrow Center, the Art Morrow Center, and just by coincidence, Devon met with them today, and I'd just like to hear a little bit about his enthusiasm for the alignment. This is with an academic institution at the University of Manitoba that works on peace and conflict resolution.
All right.
And so we've got strong connections there. And Devon had a good meeting. What he mentioned with one of their leaders today. And I'll just go really quickly and just mention a few things, only to show the breadth of groups that you can work with. So some of you may be aware that it's Ramadan, and so at the end of the period you have a breaking of the fast, which is called an iftar. So we're having a meeting I think it's on the weekend, if not tomorrow. I have to look at my calendar, but we're having an iftar, and there'll probably be, I'll bet you, 50, 100 people there that are very engaged, and our community here reaches out, amongst cultures. So we have a very strong person who happens to be Palestinian, who does a lot of bridging work with the Jewish community and even more broadly. And that's a very difficult area of work. So it's very careful work in dialogue, but that's a good thing. The Canadian Museum for Human Rights, is located in Winnipeg, is having an evening celebrating Folklorama. And Folklorama is a really neat ethnic cultural event that happens in our summer, and involves almost every country has a pavilion there, and it celebrates their culture and their music and dance and food and everything. So again, bringing a bunch of people together. Tomorrow there's a little unveiling at the legislative building of a sculpture related to the Ukraine war that will be unveiled there. Today I met with an interfaith group that's keen to set up a circle of dialogue again. So again, we don't have to be engaged with them. We just have to help them. And if from time to time we have a speaker there or something, that's what helps builds that common bond. And I could go on. I've forgot about 5 or 6 more events that they aren't charter events at this point in time, but they're events that groups within our groups working together are all supportive of the concepts of the charter. And now the question is, how do we bring them into the circle a bit more? And I don't know, Marilyn, if you have experience with, I was thinking if we developed a logo, Compassionate Winnipeg or whatever the logo is there a way for us to say, not that we're sponsoring the event or that we're something, but somehow so that our logo, the charter logo in some fashion would appear with other supporting logos?
Yeah, well, usually, we do have the charter's official logo, and most communities develop their own, which is becoming easier and easier to do. Gary, I just wanted to, I don't know if I have the right date, but I was given June 21st for the Rotary International date.
I'll check it. I'm not sure that's right, but I'll check.
Okay.
And I'll get back to you with an email.
Okay.
Gary, I'm really impressed with everything that's going on in Winnipeg. So it's really quite amazing what you guys are all doing. So yeah, I feel good just hearing about all that good work. I am watching time. We've only got about 15 minutes left. One thing I really wanted, Marilyn, for you to talk about was this May 14th and 15th Compassionate Action Conference. Did I call that the right thing?
Okay, right. We've never had, the Charter has never had its own conference like the Parliament of World Religions or the Rotary International organization. So we have decided that we're going to do it. And it's going to have to be online because we're a global group. And so May 14th and 15th, 2 days, and we'll be running about 8 to 12 hours a day. The conference, realizing that people will be joining us from all over the world. In fact, just a few hours ago, we had a webinar for people who want to give presentations. It doesn't mean that, Aaron, you can't come on board and give a presentation about the Children's Charter, or that, Devon, I think it would be great to connect you with Pastor Martinez, who works with the police department in Las Vegas and the police department in Pomona, who's really involved with the Charter for Compassion, the sheriff from Lafayette. So these are possibilities. And so we have a whole packet that I think Merida will give you a link to here. So that you can take a look. We're using the same platform that we used in October for our Global Youth Conference. It works. It's incredible. We will have probably 4 presentations an hour throughout both days. We will have some keynote speakers, and there will not be workshops during those keynote speaking times. There'll be an opportunity for you to be just like a individual who comes to a conference and goes around to various booths. So we're encouraging the different organizations to set up booths so that you'll have that opportunity. And the best thing is that you'll be able to, everything will be recorded. Because we know that something might be happening at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And there's somebody from New Zealand who is presenting at midnight, and you're not too anxious to go to that, but you really are interested. So you'll be able to turn on the recording. And we are charging. It's a very small fee. And we're not keeping anyone from coming, so that if people can't afford to come, certainly they can come for free. But we do have various levels for attending, and by you paying, you'll be able to see the videos for several months. In fact, I'm not quite sure how many months, but probably more like 4 months or so, they'll be available to you. And there's all kinds of reasons to have this conference, but it's to see what's happening globally with compassion. So, what's going on like, for example, in the Netherlands. The Netherlands was the first real country to get involved with the Charter for Compassion outside the United States. Leiden was one of the first compassionate cities, and they have done tremendous work through all of these years. One of the things they started with was something called the Compassion Awards. And they started small in Amsterdam, and they chose a subject. I think their very first one was sports. They wanted to acknowledge someone in sports who was a compassionate individual. And so he got the Compassion Award. And so now it's a national thing. Everyone can vote in the whole country for the theme of the year. And so also in San Antonio, I just realized this a couple hours ago when we had the session, that San Antonio has been giving a Compassion Peace Award for, I think, 10 years now. And they have their own laureates. And by the way, they came to Monterrey, Mexico, and met with the peace laureates from the Nobel group. So this is our opportunity to let compassion shine, but also for you to take advantage, as Erin was saying. It's a great time to network. It's a great time to say, hey, you have such an incredible program. We would like to really implement that program or replicate it in our own community. And that's what this is all about. So, take advantage of, looking at the material. Our dear Lucy, who is our technical person, has created 2 bots so that when you come, she's fed the bots all of the information about the conference, about the charter. And so if you have any questions, you can go to the bot and ask the bot a question. One is Carmen, and the other one, I think, is Clara. And so they'll be able to help you if you have any problems. And if they blow up in your face, then you can come to some real people like Merida and myself. So we're really looking forward to it, and hope that everyone on this call who has something to share with others would think about doing a presentation.
Yeah. And yeah, I would encourage it. Like, I expect something from Winnipeg from as well. For a lot of people, I know that, like, I'm scared. This idea of doing this thing, a conference like this, is intimidating, but as Lucy said, it's actually empowering once you've actually done it. So I'm going to rise to the challenge of doing that. Naheed, I think you should get something from the Baha'i community to do a presentation, because I think that would be excellent. So, in the last 10 minutes, I'm hoping we can just open it up to people that we haven't heard from, that I don't really know. And just ask any questions, any comments from anybody here. So I'm hoping to hear from everyone else we've not had a chance to hear from. So, and I'm really good at picking people who have not spoken up. So actually, MZ Klutz, I'm hoping that you can say something, tell us where you're from and what's your involvement. As you're looking for your remote, your unmute. Okay.
Sorry, is that me?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's you. Yeah.
Hi, well, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Claxton. I've been an on-paper member of the Charter for years after reading Karen Armstrong's 12 Steps to a Compassionate Life, and it's kind of been playing in my brain and heart for years. But I say with a bit of embarrassment, this is the first time I've actually participated in a formal event. But as the world evolves the way it's evolving right now, it's just becoming such an imperative and for me to find ways to get out of my house and get into the community and figure out ways that I can try and make a positive difference. So this is great timing that I learned about this event. Really inspired already to meet the people in this meeting. Devon and Gary, I'm really fascinated by the prospect of perhaps connecting with you just down the highway in Regina, and maybe there's some way that we can find some common ground or some starting point for me here in just a little tad further west on the prairies. But yeah, that's probably enough for now. Anyway, I'm really feeling really thankful to be here, and thank you everybody for all that you're doing.
Thank you, Mark. That was great. I'm going to call on Carlos. He's from Mexico, but I believe you're a new board member. So I'm going to just ask you to say hi and yeah.
Hello, everyone. And yes, I'm one of the newest members. I'm here in Monterrey, Mexico. I'm Mexican and Canadian. And I was wondering what I should say about the city where I was supposed to be in, because I lived in St. Catharines in Ontario, but also in Saint Jean sur Richelieu, in Montreal, Montreal, also in Vancouver. I'm going to be back in Canada in April for a couple of weeks. And of course, I met Gary in our meeting, in the board meeting a few weeks ago, and it was a pleasure. I'm really impressed by what they're doing in Winnipeg at this moment. It's really impressive. Congratulations. And I'm so looking forward to reading one. And I also remember when Marilyn mentioned the event here in Monterrey in September, we had the police chief here, remember, Marilyn, at the event. So I was like, oh, we could connect them and talk about one and all this methodology. And of course, with Merida and Cristina Gonzalez, who's been involved with the charter for a long time, we're also working, all of us together, with the Camino and bringing more compassionate cities, universities, municipalities, anyone who can join, in this movement. And so I'm really happy to be here and to be able to connect with more Canadians. I'll probably be going back to Canada this summer. So I'm happy
Very
to.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Can I call on Carolyn? Sorry.
Sure, I'll jump in. So I've been on your mailing list for a long time, and this is the first meeting that I've come to. Blown away actually by the work that's being done and how long you've been at it. And I have to say, the events on the planet have had me wake up to what is it that I can do locally to contribute to keeping the lights on the planet. And, everything I've heard is really aligned with who I am and how I think about things. And I have a role as a faculty member at Royal Roads University where, I don't know what the links will all be, but I'm listening for them. And so, yeah, just
excited to be here, delighted to be here, and really with a lot of respect that you've been at it for so long and how timely the message of this charter is and the message of the organization is.
Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, please find ways to get involved. There are so many things that you can tap into.
Carla, if I could just, I know that there are a couple other people that you want to hear from, but if we could have a Zoom conversation, because there's a lot of people in Vancouver. One is Rabbi Laura.
Oh, yes, I know her. Yeah.
And so if maybe we could have a meeting, just a brainstorming meeting with her, with Olivia McIvar. I don't know if you know Olivia. And Olivia has written a bunch of things on compassion, but she was in charge initially of our Charter Education Institute. She's really marvelous. So let's not let this fall through the cracks.
Excellent. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Can I pass it on to Barbara? I'm watching time and I want to just have at least a hi from everyone and some comments. So Barbara? You're on mute, Barbara. Can you unmute?
I think she's having trouble.
Okay, we're gonna.
Yes,
there you
I'm
are.
having a lot of trouble following
Okay.
because it's cutting in and out, and I get
Okay.
little phrases here and there.
Oh, okay.
Are you getting me now?
Yep.
Understanding? Is it coming through? Okay, then I'll say something. I just want to say, with that beautiful Appalachian statement, the truth will stand when the world's on fire. This set of paintings, maybe you can see, maybe not, but it's it would express that because it's expressing Teilhard de Chardin's statements. When we discover love, we'll have discovered fire for the second time. So at any rate, in spreading that fire, I'm keenly interested in, I come at working for the artistic bridges, trying to promote it in especially South Sudan and Haiti, and then here in different places here. So I haven't, London, Ontario, there's a good bit of base work being done. Erlyn has talked with me about that, and Aaron. But anyway, I'd like to do more in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. So I've asked for interns through the university and a couple universities to get, or at least community service workers. I can't pay interns like a full-time semester, but I could have community service workers, and that's maybe 2 afternoons a week. And I look forward to that because there's so much groundwork and connecting with school boards, and they could really learn a lot. I've done justice, peace, spiritual, mystical work, education all my life in different continents. So, but I come at it with a passion for healing from stress and trauma. And I gave workshops like in Monroe, Michigan before, healing election trauma for both Harris and Trump supporters. And I never imagined it would be so critical and drastic for us here. I was compassionate with them, but I didn't realize
we would suffer too. Thank you,
so
Barbara.
I'm used to
watching time
for
here.
all ages, from kindergarten.
Okay, just
right
a couple
through.
of people that want to be able to say hi to
Okay.
Barbara.
Well, I just wonder if that would fit.
Oh, for
if
the
that would fit to go
yes,
to link
I think it would. Yeah, we'll have I think in the chat is the
okay. Thank
for
you.
that. Please pay attention to that because that's important. Shiv, can you just
sorry,
say hi,
I
Shiv?
didn't hear you. Sorry.
We'll send you something, Barbara. Okay, Shiv Talwar, can you just say a couple of words? What's your interest? No, you're on mute. You're on mute, Shiv. Can't hear you. Shiv, you're on mute.
That's okay. Maybe we move on.
Okay.
I'm growing old, Marilyn. I forget these little details. I'm Shiv Talwar. I work for an organization called Spiritual Heritage Education Network. And this organization has been researching how to deliver education that makes you spiritual neurobiologically. And that is what we've been studying, and it was a long journey for us. And now we started to deliver master's and PhD degrees in neurobiology of transformation in collaboration with the Ubiquity University. And that's what I wanted to talk
Okay,
about.
can you put that in the chat so everyone
I
can
did,
check?
I did
You
in the
did.
very
You did.
beginning. I put a few links in the chat.
Perfect.
And link to our website, link to the website of Ubiquity University, and to YouTube videos that we had created on the program.
Very good. Okay, Shiv, I want to move on to somebody else because we don't have as
Sure,
much time as I'd like.
Sure. Thank you very
That,
much.
but thank you for that, Shiv. Shirley, can you just say hi? You are on mute.
Hi, I've been at one of the last chats. I'm working a little bit with Gary and Devon. I'm just at the very beginning stages. Gary and I worked together years ago. And he knew that I was looking for some new passion to explore. I've always done lots of volunteer work, especially with youth, guides, brownies, that kind of thing, Sunday schools. So when he had mentioned this to me, it sounded really, really interested in something that I thought I could certainly jump on board and start, finding a new outlet for my energies and things like that. I've been retired for a number of years now. So anyway, we have a really great group in Winnipeg. Unfortunately, I missed the last meeting where they met face to face. So I'm looking forward. We have a meeting on Friday to hear what everybody's doing. So it's a great group.
Thank you, Shirley. I'd love to hear that. Nahi, can you just say and introduce yourself to the group? You've come before.
Yeah, I have participated before in this group. I'm so happy that I could join tonight. So I'm in the same city, Richmond Hill, with Marge. So we get to know each other a long, long time ago. And when I heard about this, it was something that I've always was thinking about it, that our society should do something like this. And I'm very, very happy that I joined, and I hope I can do something. I'm trying, like, we did some of the last year for Golden Rule Day and different kind of things, talk to the mayor, and we have a very good mayor, and he's very cooperating with us. So I'm glad that I could come today. Nice to meet you all. I'm from Toronto, Richmond Hill.
Yeah, thank you,
Canada.
Nahi. Okay, Ross, can you just say a few words?
Sure. First, let me apologize for eating during the meeting if that was distracting or disrespectful.
Absolutely not. It was not.
Okay.
You
All
have
right.
to eat. Yeah.
I'm here at the invitation of one of my fellow participants in the Central Alberta Interfaith Network for Compassion and Peace, who's been really a supporter of the Charter of Compassion and how it could inform our work in the Interfaith Network. So I'm quite a bit overwhelmed by all the information that's been shared. I don't really understand a lot of it, but I'm going to do some research and hopefully update myself on what you're doing. But it all sounds really, really, really positive. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Russ. Shannon and Wendy, you've not come on board. So Shannon, yes, love to hear from you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Shannon Wetmore. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is actually the second call I've attended. One was a few months back, and it's very intriguing. For me, I guess I'm just seeking individuals that have a common interest in compassion. I do have my own ideas around what I plan to do as an individual or am doing. And, maybe at some point I can share those on the group setting. So I'm just happy to be here. And Marilyn, I might send you an email with some details about what I'm doing locally and see if there's any input or support I can get.
Sure. Great.
That
Thank
would be
you.
good. Okay, Wendy, would you like to, can you say a few words? I think you're the last one here. Wendy? No? Okay. Okay, Marilyn, do you want to wrap up some parting words?
Well, sure, I would be happy to. Thank you all certainly for coming. And, anything that we can do from our end, like for example, with Shannon, individual meetings are great. You just gave me, Ross, an idea of maybe what we should do is have an interfaith gathering of people that would be very international. Just so people could get to meet one another from various continents, because a number of compassionate communities have been started by interfaith groups. So that is something to consider. There's so much happening with the charter, and I can totally understand if any one of you is overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed every morning when I start and try and figure out where is it that I'm going to put my energy today. I have to tell you, my energy yesterday was in Uganda. Uh, uh, I met, along with Anu Mula, who is our youth coordinator, um, an incredible young man who wants to make his refugee camp, which has individuals, refugees from 7 countries, to be the first compassionate refugee camp in the world. And so those are the kinds of things that happen daily in the Charter for Compassion. We need people like you because we can't do it all. So that as you're thinking about what you're doing in your own city, you might find people who might be interested in doing work outside of your city. And so we welcome, all kinds of efforts that you might have. And just as a parting idea, anyone who has a university, a college, even a secondary school, where they think they might want to be a compassionate institution, let us know. Because with our memo of understanding with the Peace Laureates, the Nobel Peace Laureates, as well as with Peace Jam, we have programs to introduce two different educational institutions, which would afford young people in these institutions just incredible opportunities, and very possibly a certificate in addition to whatever their BA or their secondary school certificate might be, that they have gone through a Nobel Peace Laureate program. So that's a little part of what we're doing there. So just planting a little seed for you to think about. Thank you again, and hopefully we'll see you in 5-6 weeks time.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you again, Marilyn. This is your the third call I was on with you today, so I feel like yes. So again, if you like music.
One more thing I should say, that we not only welcomed Carlos as a new board member, but we also welcomed Gary and Karen into the charter board. So applause to them. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Please.
Goodbye.
Good
Good night.
night.
Bye.
Bye all.